to listen to the Lap Traffic Podcast.
What is up, Lap Traffic Nation? Welcome to episode 292 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. I'm your host, the Professor Brandon Crowd. Hope you all had a great weekend. The countdown continues. 8 more shows to episode 300. Had a prize pack gave away last week. I'll have another one next week. I'll get something thrown in the mix for sure there for you guys. And still working out some ideas for episode 300 that will close out season 6 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. Let's see here. Friday, man, had a very busy weekend. Had a wedding Friday night, which was a blast. Saturday had a last-minute round of golf, which was a very last-minute because it only occurred because Lindsay may have had a couple cocktails Friday night, may have told my uncle, yeah, he can go play golf tomorrow. So that resulted in me getting up and going and playing golf on Saturday, which was nice because that very well may be the last round of the year for me. Let's see what else Saturday. Watched the Bristol night race, of course. Well, I watched most of it. It used to be nothing to stay up, watch a night race, and I did not make it. Something about having a 7-month-old and staying up late just don't go hand in hand. And yeah, I cannot believe he's 7 months old. So incredible. Sunday, little family day, went to breakfast, went to the fruit market, watched a lot of football and barbecued. And speaking of football, the Lions and the Cowboys won a game. How crazy is that? I would play the Lions theme song or their what do they call it? Their anthem that they play in stadium when they score a touchdown. So if you've never been to a Lions game, you don't know because it doesn't really come across on the broadcast side of things. But yes, they play a song. They have an in-house person that sings it, Gridiron. He's been there a long time. And they do it whenever they score, which is kind of funny because if it's a field goal, they do it. If it's a touchdown, they do it. If they're down 35-0 and score a touchdown in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes to go, they do it. And that's when it's funny because nobody's into it at that point in time. Anyways, long digression there. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed last week's show with Ben Rhodes. Got a lot to talk about today between the regular season ending in the Xfinity Series, the shakeup there, the Truck Series, and I mean, just what a cluster with the Cup side there, and can't wait to dive into that. Heather Hadley, who you may have heard Aaron Studwell and I talk about on last week's show, is going to be on. We were able to make that happen real quick, which is great. Still maybe working on one other thing that if I'm able to make it happen, it's going to be very last minute and will be probably towards the end of the show. I'll get some recaps in, social media, all that good stuff. Neudorff will have the weather. Lucky Dog Lap Down and Fantasy. Who made it to the round of 12 in Lap Traffic Fantasy? Well, you're just going to either A, check the website, or B, tune in to the end of the show and see what happens. So, that said, let's get Miss Heather Hadley on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line, making her first appearance on the show. She has been in karts, legends, sportsman cars. She's got wins. She's got championships. Welcome to the Lap Traffic Podcast, Heather the Heat Hadley. Heather, what's going on?
What's going on? Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. I mean, you deal with Aaron Studwell, so I had to at least get you a break and come talk to me for a little bit so you didn't have to deal with him.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right. First, the nickname. Where'd the Heat come from?
Actually, my dad is the one that gave me that nickname. He gave it to me when I played softball, actually. So it started before racing. I was probably around 8 years old. So it's kept up for
it's been there. All
a decent amount of time. Yeah.
So is it because you threw the Heat, or is it were you a pitcher? What'd you do?
No, I was never a pitcher. I was actually a second base player and shortstop.
Okay.
So I don't know why exactly my dad I think he just liked how it flowed with my name.
Hey, I like it. Well, hey, I mean,
think that's the real reason.
I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, so I might be dating myself here for you, but Triple H, I mean, there you go. That would be a perfect T-shirt there for you.
That's true. That's definitely where my dad got the inspiration.
I love it. Well, speaking of your dad, I was doing a little research for the interview, and I saw that your dad does some stand up. I need to know. I need to know.
Yeah, my dad is probably, if you ever get the chance to meet him, one of the most interesting people you've ever met. Yes, he does stand up. He also is in construction, but when he gets free time, he does stand up, and he loves to do it. He's always loved storytelling is his main thing that he loves, and he wants to eventually write books about his crazy life that he's lived.
That's awesome. So, like, comedy clubs, like he go to open mic night. What's he do to feed the itch there?
Well, he hasn't done it in over a year, I don't think, but he actually did used to go open mic all the time. I don't know if he ever got paid, but I know that he sure loved it enough to keep going every week.
Hey, that's how I feel about the podcast, so I can totally relate to that. So, oh, that's great. Well, Heather, give us your 411. Your background. We talked before we started recording. You're going to school, doing the racing thing. So, give everyone the lowdown on Heather and how you got into racing and all that good stuff.
Yeah, of course. So I'm 20 years old. I'm originally from Northern California. I moved out to Charlotte, North Carolina when I was 18 to pursue NASCAR is really what I was after. But I did road course and circle track racing for as long as I've been racing cars. And I started when I was about 13. So I've been doing both the road course and the circle track action for a while. Before that, I was in go-karts, and I started that when I was 9. So I've been racing for a little over 10 years, and I kind of just recently this year made the switch to road course racing, a full commitment, which is something I've really never done before. I've always kind of been involved in both worlds, but so next year will be my debut in the Itamitsu Mazda MX-5 Cup Series, which I'm very excited for. And so that's pretty much the rundown of my life. And besides that, I'm also going to school. But the exciting part is racing, of course.
Absolutely. One of the things, when we look at someone that's got your well, first off, like any racing in the family, or are you the first one to kind of kick things off?
Yeah, there's actually no prior racing experience in my family. My dad had no clue what was going on at the track. Neither did my mom, and neither did I. So it was a learning process for everyone.
What started it for you? Did you go to a race? Like where did it? Hey, Dad, I want to go racing. Where'd that first start from?
So we initially started indoor go-karting. That's kind of where I discovered racing. My dad sort of made it his goal when I was really young to introduce me to all kinds of different sports. And so
sure.
It was just one thing that I tried, and it was, the one thing that I loved above any other sport. And so we just kept going every week. And I'd won 104 out of 107 of my races in 6 months when I was 9 years old. And so I was like, well, maybe we should consider taking this a little bit further.
Right? I love it. Well, so when I was looking at your stats, the one that really stuck out was the indoor karting ranked second of 355,842 people. That says something right there as far as I'm concerned. So that's incredible.
Yeah, it was an exciting time of my life where I would, show up and I would beat all the workers there, and it was just a lot of fun as a 9-year-old kid.
Absolutely. So you race Legends, right? Where did you race Legends at?
Yeah, so I've raced legend cars all over. I started racing legends when I was 13 in California, and so I raced at like Sonoma Raceway, Thunder Hill, Buttonwillow in California. And then I also did a tour of the Northwest, and so I raced in Idaho, Washington, Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska, a bunch of states in the Northwest. And then when I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, I kind of took my legend car racing to the East Coast. And so I've been doing a lot of racing over here in North Carolina, Florida, New Hampshire. We've kind of done all the states near North Carolina. So we've raced in Virginia and Georgia and all these states. And so, yeah, raced all over.
I've seen one Legends race in person, and that was at the Bull Ring at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Have you raced there?
I have not.
You have not. Okay. That was my first intro to the Legends racing. Some friends over at another podcast went to a race with them, and Jensen Jorgensen was their guy that drove Legends down there. So yes, it's a cool car. It's fun to watch. They whip around, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're very fun. Very difficult to drive, but they're a blast.
I bet. So what were some of the highlights for you this season? What car were you raced at and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so we've been doing some legend car stuff. The primary goal for this year is to prepare for next year. So I've been trying to not go out and spend a whole lot of money.
Sure.
But yeah, we raced at the beginning of the year. We raced in Florida, and I won a race out there and finished second in the Winter Nationals Championship. And then we just recently raced at New Hampshire, and we're getting ready for World Finals. It's October 14th. To the 16th. And so we're preparing for that. And last year was the real exciting year where we did a whole lot of legend car racing, as well as the Sportsman Asphalt late model that we raced at New Hampshire, or at New Smyrna in Florida. And yeah, so that was a lot of experience and a lot of learning that I've had the privilege of the past few years, just from moving out here and racing against the best legend car drivers in the country. So it's been a blast.
That's cool. So you talked about a few minutes ago, the initial goal was to move to Charlotte and go race NASCAR. What was the draw or what made the change to want to go race the Mazda MX-5 series?
Yeah, so I've always had the dream of racing in NASCAR. It's always kind of been my, ambitions. It's always been what I've watched at home. And so when I initially moved out here, although I did keep my options open by continuing to race road course, my main goal was to race in NASCAR. And then I kind of just realized as we were racing out here, the money involved in it, and also how talented everyone is out here on circle track racing, and how kind of I was just a little bit behind in my experience level. Because when I raced go-karts, I never did anything on oval. So I did like 5 years of road course racing and go-karts. So that's kind of where my grassroots racing is. And so I just kind of realized I was a little bit behind. Most of these people out here have started since they were like 5 years old, racing on circle tracks. And I've always just loved road course racing so much. And I've for some reason been better on road course configurations. And so I was like, yeah, why not make the switch? Seemed like the more realistic, smarter way to go, and also just the direction that I would enjoy more. So
awesome. So who are you running with next year?
So we haven't decided yet. We're still in between a few teams. It depends on money, obviously.
Sure.
I'm also planning on running the shootout at the end of this year. I was lucky enough to be one of the at-large nominees for the MX-5 Cup shootout. And so that would kind of also
play a role?
Yes, play a role in which team we end up going with. So it depends on a few different factors.
Cool. No, totally understandable. Sponsorship wise, do you have anybody that you've worked with a long time that might be making the move with you?
Yeah, so Schmidt Heating and Air Conditioning, they've been our longtime partner. Oil Depot is also a great sponsor of mine, and so they will also be supporting me. But we're definitely still looking. So
Yes, it's crazy how the money and the sponsorship thing just always pops up with everybody. I mean, I don't care who you are. I mean, look at Kyle Busch, right? I mean, that big factor there. So from the smallest of series to the upper echelon, it's always boiling down to money and sponsors all the time.
Oh yes, you never stop fighting sponsors and looking for sponsors. It's always something that presents a challenge, that's for sure.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. Heather, where can everybody follow you at on social media?
Yes, so my Instagram is just Heather Hadley. My Facebook is Heather the Heat Hadley. My website is heatherhadleyracing.com. That's where all my updates are. It's where my schedule is for next year. So all the important information is on my website. I also have a Twitter and a YouTube. Everything is just Heather Hadley. So if you type that in, you'll find it.
It makes it nice when it's that consistent. Awesome. Well, Heather, it was great to have you on. Great to talk to you for a little bit, and definitely looking forward to keeping up with your career as you make the switch. And we'll definitely make sure to have you back on next season and see how the jump went for you.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much, Brandon.
Thanks, Heather. All right, Let Traffic Nation, huge thanks to Heather for calling into the show tonight. Heather, best of luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, great to talk to Heather there and to have her on for the first time. Okay, let's keep things going. Let's talk about this past weekend at Bristol and where things are at, because it's crazy in my opinion. You look at the Truck Series. I mean, Ty Majeski goes out there, picks up the win. You know, Zane Smith, we expected to be up there, moved from the back to the front for a second place finish. That's a hell of a day there. You know, all of our playoff guys, top 10, top 12. Here's what's just crazy to me. And, you know, Ben Rhodes talked about it on the show last week about how he loves the fact that Talladega is in the playoffs, right? And that it might come back to bite him. Ben Rhodes is sitting 8th, last in the points right now, as that's our last race. That's our cutoff race for the Truck Series. Sorry, no, not the last. It's the second to last race. This Bristol was the first race. I get so confused because they don't all run simultaneously. So, but nonetheless, I mean, Ben Rhodes is sitting here, 10 points out, nothing huge. It would be possible to make that up points-wise, but you find yourself in a hole at Talladega going in outside the cut line. That makes it almost a must-win situation at Homestead. So I'm a little surprised at where our current top four are right now. Like, I would not have picked this Final Four at the moment. I mean, how shocked are we? Granted, it's only 1 point. Granted, there are 2 races to go, but I mean, John Hunter's sitting in 5th. Like, that's crazy. Our defending champ, Ben Rhodes, 8th. Grant Enfinger, 7th. Like, my Final Four for the Truck Series, I don't know if I did these or not, but when I was looking at things, obviously John Hunter, obviously Zane Smith, and I was torn between Grant and Ben, and I was torn between Chandler and Friesen. So a little bit of a combo there of the 4, but yeah, we'll see how things shake out there. Bristol Xfinity Series race, the regular season finale for those guys. Noah Gragson is just on a tear. 6 wins, was it 3 in a row? Just absolutely crazy there. And we got what I wanted. Well, to a degree. I feel bad for Landon Castle, friend of the show, works with Studwell. Wanted to see him get into the playoffs. But Jeremy Clements, that win outside the top 12 gave us that bubble, gave us some excitement at Bristol, and lo and behold, that was a difference maker. Jeremy Clement's win was the difference of him not getting into the playoffs, and Landon missed it by 5 points. 5 points, 5 spots across 26 races. Like, that's just crazy. That's how much every point matters, every pass. You know, I know it's cliche. We all talk about it as being cliche, but nonetheless, 5 positions at any point in time, it was a make or break difference there, which is nuts. You know, we're going to Texas. You know, trucks are off till we go to Talladega. Xfinity and Cup going to Texas. I'm sure we all would rather see this race happening at any other track but Texas. Nonetheless, we'll see if we can get something entertaining out of a Texas race here. Maybe who knows? Maybe we'll get it. I'm not hopeful, but I'm always open to being pleasantly surprised. All right, the Cup. I mean, I am just stunned as to where things are at. Let's see. Where do we want to start with? Let's start with Chris Buescher picking up his first win since the Pocono rain out that got him the win there. That's awesome. He's come close quite a few times, and very, very happy that he was able to pick up the win. 3 non-playoff drivers win in the opening round of the Cup Series. To me, that is just absolutely crazy. I would have never drawn that one up in a million years. I am blown away by that. You know, to get one, you know, spoiler is one thing, but the mere fact that the first round's got 16 guys in the playoffs and none of them picked up the win, that's crazy. You know, I think we've obviously have had some spoilers, Talladega, things like that. We've had guys that made the playoffs win in later rounds that got eliminated. But the fact we're sitting here with 3 non-playoff drivers winning in the opening rounds, that's something. That's very cool. On top of the fact we now have 19 different winners, the most since 1972. Thank you, jski.com, for that reference. That's crazy too. Like, and there's nothing to say that's not done. Ryan Blaney's still without a win. Martin Truex still without a win. I mean, you know, either one of those two could go in and pick up the win at the Roval. Either of those two could. I mean, we could potentially be looking at 21 different winners in the Cup Series, which is just, I said it last week. I've been saying it. We're going to be talking about 2022 10, 15 years from now as one of those, oh yeah, I remember during that season kind of moments. And it's special to be a part of it. It's special to know that we're going to be able to reflect on what 2022 was. It may not happen again. You know, Steve Letarte talked about it a couple weeks ago on the show. Hey, you know, teams may get it all figured out next year. We may not be having this conversation about, you know, the potential of 16 different winners, 17 different winners in a season. And I am loving every moment of it right now. That's for sure. Okay. Let's see. Kevin Harvick or Kyle Busch? Which one should we dive into first? I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick. You know, issues the first 2 races was just in too big of a points hole with the way things were shaping out on the track. And like I said, just too big of a hole. The mere fact Ryan Blaney was off the track as much as he was, he basically sat out the race from where he finished points-wise and was, you know, still able to make it through. Just too big of a gap. Issues that shouldn't have happened, and I say that not just as a Kevin Harvick fan, because I am sure there's a lot of us out there that would have issues if it happened to their driver. So as a whole, there's some shit that needs to get worked out. There is just no doubt about it. I mean, you want the element of surprise in things, right? You want to know, hey, maybe something could happen. You want it to be flukes. You don't, you know, that what's happening isn't a fluke. And that's where there's the issue. And I mean, hey, I don't think we all thought Kevin Harvick was going to get a win, let alone back-to-back wins. You know, obviously this is my thing. I assumed he'd get past this round when I looked at who was in there. I didn't think Austin Dillon was going to make it through. I did think Tyler Riddick was going to make it through. I was tossed. I didn't think Austin Cindric was. So I truly did think that Harvick was going to make it to the next round. And you throw in the mix there, Talladega, you throw in the Roval. Some things could have gone his way. Some things could have gone Kevin Harvick's way. You get past the first round, anybody can go win at Talladega, which can get you to the next round. It gets interesting with a little of Lady Luck on your side as far as where you could end up potentially. So definitely bummed for the 4 team. Curious to see. I think next year's the last year on the contract for him. We'll see what happens there with Kevin Harvick. And then Kyle Busch, walking with the helmet on, obviously, was on purpose. Kyle Busch did not forget to take his helmet off. Whether it was, he was so heated to not have to talk to anybody that came up to him from a broadcast or media perspective, whether it was because he didn't want to say something that would have, come back to bite him later. Who knows the reason why? But I think we can all safely assume it was intentionally done, especially though, and this was what was awesome in my opinion. I love this. The fact that, a fellow crew teammate came up to him on, I forget whose team it was. It looked like Truex, but I'm not completely sure. Memory's not serving me too fairly there. But did talk to him, so that was cool. But I mean, the mere fact just came out today, and I'm doing this on Monday, this part of the show, that the 11 and 4 teams are switching there. It is going to be an interesting, what do we got here? 7 races of Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs. So many wins, so many good memories for the 18 team and Joe Gibbs Racing as an organization. It's not ending. At least from the surface level exterior perspective, does not look like it's ending on the best of notes. I wonder if Christmas cards will be exchanged or not there, but we'll see. And hey, all we can do is like I said, 2022 is special. Just sit back, take it all in, and enjoy these last 7 races before the off season kicks in and all that good stuff. So, all right, there you have it. Let's keep things rolling. Let's do a little Lap Traffic social media. Everybody, make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, Facebook, The Lap Traffic Podcast, YouTube, Lap Traffic Podcast, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, all at Lap Traffic PC. We're making some TikTok videos. We're doing them with the show, and if I get creative, I've put some things out there. I don't know how creative I'll get. Like, there's one that I thought would be hysterical. Like, what kind of NASCAR fan are you at the track? Like, where, it's the choose your character kind of thing. And, I just don't have the time to, come up with 4 different, like, types of fans that you see at the track. But I think it would be hysterical. We'll see if I can have some time to come up with some creative content there. But anyways, like I mentioned at the start of the show, I'll have another giveaway out here soon. And don't forget to check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. Fill out the contact page if you want a koozie and some stickers. Happy to send them out to you. And we'll keep plugging along till we get to episode 300. But all right, Lap Traffic Nation, I mentioned at the start of the show that I was going to see there might be a special guest appearance, and there is. We were able to put it together. His 23rd appearance and an impromptu appearance from MRN Radio, Mr. Jeff Striegle. Sir, how are you, man?
I'm good. I'm very good, and I have a feeling I think I know what you want to talk about.
Yeah? Where do you think my mind might be going?
We had an interesting round of 16 where we eliminated 4 drivers and 2 of them represent 3 championships, and they're not going to race for a championship in 2022. Am I warm?
You're pretty good, my man. You're pretty good. Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, and that's one piece of it, right? And then you got the whole other story. Each of them kind of have their own side story that, did it attribute, did it not attribute? But like you said, the mere fact that we've got Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch just dominated this playoff format since its inception back in 2014 and have turned up some goose eggs the last couple years. What are your thoughts from that? I mean, 19 different race winners this season alone. I said it last week. 2022 is going to be a season 5, 10, 15 years from now. We're talking about it. We're going to be saying, hey, do you remember when back to 2022? So where are you at?
Well, unless this is the new norm, and it could be, we're talking about this as shocking, and it is if you compare it going back to 2014, and I think we've got a few stats to make our point. But, is this the new norm where we're going to have 15 to 20 winners each and every season? It could be. There's no reason not to think going into 2023 that we don't see 20 race winners, because we already know that Ryan Blaney is still without a win, that Truex is still without a win, that there's a number of drivers capable of winning that have not. So we're at 19 and counting, and we still have 7 races to go. So is it shocking? Yes. Is it, I guess we'd have to say, is it surprising? Maybe not in the course of the 2022 season, because we have been surprised each and every week with the way the new car is performed or not, in the case, where Kevin Harvick may agree with that. So, yes, it's shocking to say that we're getting ready to go into the round of 12 and we are missing Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch.
Well, and one other piece to add on top of that, I don't know that we could go back to in 2014 when this format started. We've had some spoilers. We've had some non-playoff race winners. We've had some guys that made the playoffs that got knocked out win later down the road in the playoffs. But I do not believe we have ever started the playoffs with the first round being won by non-playoff drivers for all 3. I remember the year Joey Logano swept the round, but I don't think we've ever had 3 non-playoff drivers win to start it off.
Yeah, I believe you're accurate with that. And it's been a while since we had 2 in a row. So it's been done before, but it hasn't been done recently. And now to see it be done 3 times consecutively, that has not happened. So let's start with this. Is this the turning of the ship, changing of the tide? Call it what you want. You just brought up 2014. So let's go all the way back to 2014. And for 6 straight years from that point on, Kyle Busch or Kevin Harvick were in the championship 4, 6 straight. Now we go back to the last 3, this one included. So 2021 and 2020, Kyle Busch nor Kevin Harvick were in the championship 4. So are we starting to see a changing of the tide? I don't know, because when you look at what these guys do on the racetrack each and every Saturday and Sunday, whenever they put the green flag in the air, they're contenders. Let's start with Kyle for a minute. I think it surprises me more so that Kyle is not in than Kevin. Yes. Kevin hit his stride at Michigan, winning at Michigan, backing it up at Richmond. All right, up until that point, we were talking about what's going on with the 4 team. Now, on the other side of the equation, the thing that was missing from Kyle's resume was simply wins. They had the speed. They were in contention each and every week. In fact, I said this on the air to Alex Hayden numerous times that, the fastest car in the racetrack right now is the 18 of Kyle Busch. And it just seemed like week in and week out, we were talking about how fast that team was, and they were coming away with nothing. So, I think that is the bigger surprise. Now, obviously, the big argument there is, and then I'll get your opinion, but the big argument is the distractions that he and that team face throughout the year. Did that play a role? No doubt.
I would think so too. It's obviously you're going to save face in front of the media and try to be as business as usual as possible. But when you are Kyle Busch, I don't see how it's possible. Just running a truck team, sponsorship obligations, husband, father obligations, not to mention, hey, I drive the 18. It would be hard pressed to say, that didn't play a role in maybe performance, what have you. I really thought now that the announcement was out, it was over. I really thought the 18 team was going to come out and be guns a-blazing and kind of have the mindset of, I'm going to go out there and win another one just because I can kind of thing. And to see them eliminated at Bristol could be argued that's Kyle Busch's best track just based on just wins alone. I was stunned to see an exit in that fashion from him in the playoffs.
Well, but I think you don't overlook there's two things here. One, Kyle is human, and sometimes we don't remind ourselves of that.
Sure,
he is human. That's a lot on your shoulders. And number two, you said once the announcement was made that we're moving on to RCR, that he would go out and potentially advance. Well, you got to finish to advance.
Yep.
And, when something major on your car breaks and you suddenly are done, it doesn't matter whether you thought you were now in a position to go out and win a championship or not. And I'm sure he was. I'm sure that once that was behind him, it took a while to get there. He only had, one or two races since the announcement. I think it was only one, to be honest with you.
Yep.
And, then you have a part failure and you're done early. So, that played a role, no doubt. You said coming on, you were talking about how things have to align and whatnot. They have to align for everybody. And, obviously we know, and Kevin has been very outspoken, maybe as we transition a little bit over to Kevin, that, when they hit their stride at Michigan and Richmond, I was a believer. I thought, okay, this is the momentum that they need. It's hitting at the right time. They found their way back to victory lane, not that they ever forgot. And if you ever count Kevin Harvick out, you're making a mistake. But then all of a sudden they hit the same issue. And again, Kevin very outspoken about the fact that, when pieces and parts break, you have no shot.
Yep.
We all get the fact. We proved this fact wrong, but we all get the fact that you have to be perfect if you're going to win a championship. All right. Everybody was not perfect for the round of 16, but we eliminated only 4 drivers. The remaining 9 at this point, or the remaining 12 rather, at this point, are going to have to be mistake-free. They cannot afford to continue to do what we saw over those last 3 races, and that was just mistake, infraction, one thing or another if they're going to win a championship. And obviously Kyle and Kevin, prove that point out. 2 of the best, the very best, arguably the best that we have right now in the garage in NASCAR. Their records speak for themselves, are going to watch 12 other drivers now compete for a championship.
Sure. No, absolutely. And that's the crazy thing, right? Like, back at, we expected Jimmy Johnson to just win championship after championship. We expect to see Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch there. I was with you when they won at Michigan. Okay, cool. The Richmond win was even a bigger, staple announcement, if you will, for me. And then you look at the playoffs. All right, 16. All you got to do is go out there and I'm going to oversimplify it, obviously, and run laps. And you almost have to mess up to kind of not make it to the next round if you're a Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, right? And that's what happened, So you look at that regard, all right, well, they'll get to the round of 12, and, well, hey, anything can happen at Talladega. There's Texas in there, which they've both dominated Texas. I could have argued with myself on how both of them could have potentially found their way to the Final Four.
No question about it. No doubt about it. But, again, I think when you go back and you look at a car sitting on a transporter halfway into the race, 3/4 of the way into the race, you're just not going to win a championship. And unfortunately for Kyle and for Kevin, that was going to be the telltale and why they didn't advance. When you look at it now, you just touched on it. We talked about it briefly. 19 different winners so far this season, most on record to this point. You have 9 drivers of the 12. 75% of the drivers that are racing for a championship right now don't have one.
Yep.
And that, too, is a record of having only 3 drivers in this particular point in the season, going into the round of 12, where we have 3 drivers that have a championship. So 25% of the drivers in the round of 12 have won it, and 75% of them have not. And I think the unpredictability and the craziness of this season is going to continue all the way to Phoenix, no doubt.
I love it. Let me and we can maybe preview the playoffs, what we've got left here in a minute. Both of them, we can kind of wrap up with this, I guess, maybe. Kevin Harvick, like you said, obviously very vocal from a parts perspective. Kyle Busch, vocal as well. Is there validity with that? Does NASCAR, in your opinion, need to do something? Like, obviously there's unknowns, right? You're going to get the occasional, engine failure, the mechanical part failure. But is this something that is widespread enough that maybe at the end of the season, NASCAR will say, hey, yep, there's some things that we need to adjust because that shouldn't be happening?
All right, I'm going to answer this as politically correctly as I can.
I love it. Yes,
all right.
sir.
I mean, I'm not going to throw immediate blame on NASCAR, and I'm certainly not going to tell you that Kevin and Kyle are fabricating their story because they're upset.
Sure.
All right. Somewhere in the middle lies the truth, right? So, in my opinion, if you're NASCAR, you absolutely have to listen to Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch. You got to sit down with them. They've earned the right. And, when Kevin, and obviously we can see it. Okay. So, I mean, it's not something that, the car quickly is covered up and they put it on a transporter and they haul it away. And then in a post-race interview, they say, Kevin, gee, what was the problem? Oh, it was this or that. Okay. Well, we already know by listening to the radio or watching it on TV or sitting there and watching the race unfold in person, that there was an issue, that something broke, that something caused the issues that we see. So, and I've said this before, this is my backing of NASCAR. NASCAR is not going to turn a blind eye. They don't want to see 2 champions, loading their cars on transporters and heading home halfway through the event. That's not what it's about. They want to see Kevin out there. They want to see Kyle out there. They want to see them all out there. So, I think at some point, whether it's Kevin and Kyle sitting down or whether it's organizations, and obviously they have a group of people that they do turn to, and we all know that. So I think this is a ongoing weekly debate. What can we do to make the car better tomorrow than what it was today? Absolutely.
There's no doubt about that. All right, Jeff, round of 12 is going to kick off this weekend. Kind of a variety pack, if you will, of tracks. We get a 1.5 miles, we get a super speedway, and we get the Charlotte Roval. We get a little bit of everything with the round of 12. Anybody go out win Talladega? That could be our 20th winner. And a lot of people could go out and contend at the Roval. We could be looking at 21 different winners by the time the round of 12 is over.
Well, you're going to count out Truex at Texas? I mean, let's just start there. So,
right?
If you're asking me to predict the great unpredictable, I'm not sure I can. I think I would do this, though. At some point, and I love, you were talking about the mix of tracks. How about the mix of drivers that we have? And the individual's talent level and where they can shine. Obviously, again, you've got to be mistake-free. So when you look at who's been there, done that, you have to look at Kyle Larson his teammate Chase Elliott, and Joey Logano. Those are three fierce competitors who have been there, done that. They know how this game is played, and I look at them to be certainly moving on to the round of 8 and contending for the championship 4. Now, the big question is, if that was to happen, the door is open for one driver that has yet to race for a championship or win a championship, I should say. And trying to pick that, I love Ross Chastain. I think he's just right now aggressive enough to put things aside in his mind and say, you know what, I've ruffled some feathers before. I may have to ruffle some feathers again. I want this championship. I've earned the right to be here, and now I want to stand tall and high above everybody else. I like him, but the second you say that, you add into it, his teammate or Cindric. You're going to the Roval. You're going to count out Austin Cindric? I'm not.
Right.
So I just don't know how this thing is going to unfold. Back in the day, we used to be able to say, you and I, that, Kevin Harvick is on a roll or Hamlin is on a roll or this driver or that driver. I just don't see that right now. Kyle Larson, I don't think I could say right now that he's on a roll.
Nope.
Do I think they're a team to beat? Absolutely. Just like Chase Elliott. I don't think Joey Logano is on a roll. I don't think he's, hit his peak. But then again, I don't think anybody has hit their peak this season. So we get ready to go to Texas and then on to Talladega and on to the Roval. And I would say just be prepared for the unexpected.
And kick back and enjoy it. Enjoy this because it's been incredible. And it's going to finish incredible, which is great. Jeff, wrap it with this. An incredible season at Berlin Raceway for you guys.
You didn't have to go there. We're done, but I appreciate that. We did have an incredible season. Our attendance was up dramatically over the prior years. In fact, I'd actually honestly say that we've had the best season in the past decade and maybe longer. We're blessed. We got great race fans here. The competitors from around the country, let alone from around town, show up and they want to race. And they put on a great show, and the fans turned out to watch it. So we're busy right now working on the 2023 schedule, and that should be out in a matter of a week or two. And I'll tell you right now, Brandon, we're working very hard to take the momentum that we built this season and make it better for 2023.
That's awesome. I love it. Jeff, where can everybody follow you on social media?
Jeff.Striegle or Jeff Striegle on Twitter. So, same thing. I just about gave you my email address. See ya. But that's how they can reach me there too. You know that. But yeah, at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Jeff Striegle. So awesome. I appreciate the time. I look forward to it. Like you, I'm a fan.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to watching how this unfolds.
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, I kept it pretty close. I said 15, knowing that we never do what we say we're going to do on that.
Ever.
And just be ready for another call because episode 300's in 8 shows, and I can't have episode 300 and Jeff Striegle not be a part of it in some fashion. So.
Count me in. I'll be there.
Awesome, man. All right. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
Take care, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right, Lap Traffic Nation. So glad that we were able to make things work and get Striegle on. Just had to talk about those things there. But right now, joining me on the line, you can follow him on Twitter at NASCAR_WXMAN, along with Aaron Studwell at RaceWeather. Welcome back to the show. A very, very happy Purdue fan, Brian Neudorff. Sir, good evening. How are you?
You're fighting words, okay?
I'm sorry. Now Michigan's going to go and lose to Maryland.
That's like saying, and now here to a really happy Toyota Kyle Busch fan. All right. I mean,
that's fair. That's a great analogy. I love it.
And okay, for those of you who off the podcast didn't hear, Mr. Brandon's trying to just
sugarcoat.
He's like, those were tough. That's a tough opener. And I'm like, no, bullshit. I'm like, if your team played like Purdue did in the games that were very winnable, you would have been bitching and about how horrible Harbaugh is. Okay, refrain that. You have said the same things about Harbaugh. Okay,
very vocal. Yes, I have.
So
Yes.
you know what?
Yes.
I mean, let's not. I mean,
Listen, go talk to your scheduling guy and tell them to schedule.
it has nothing about the
UConn.
scheduling. It's not the schedule. It's not the teams. We should have beat those teams.
It's true.
It was the play calls and it was the undisciplined, all of that stuff. That's what did it.
No,
I mean, as I try to tell my son, and I lied, like, you know, when it comes to like of all Purdue sports, Purdue football, I really don't have much expectations because I already get hurt enough through basketball. I really can't take the abuse. Okay. I mean, I eventually have to just walk away.
Right. Oh man. Well, I mean, I like I said, I tried to sugarcoat. I mean, you still have a favorable schedule. You know, I mean,
they can turn things around. You're right. We do.
You do. Like, let's put it this way: if Michigan had your schedule, they'd be 12-0. So I
already after 3 games. I know.
Games.
and you know what else? You know what else makes it suck is like literally Indiana should have lost all of their games, and they had even an easier schedule. Now they did win, but wow.
Yeah, 3-0.
I mean, seriously, they were down to Idaho.
Yeah.
And then, coming back with Western Kentucky, which I was, we have some Western Kentucky alum in our office. So, yeah.
They've snuck past the way you guys haven't found a way to lose. Like, they won 23-20, 33-30, and you guys have lost 35-31 and 32-29. Like, that's
There's a reason we're a verb.
Right. You have said that. Yes. You've been Purdue'd. Oh, good times. All right. Well, sir, Texas, unless there's anything else, is there any baseball you want to talk about?
No.
I'll
be nice to the baseball fans. I'm a Yankees fan right now. It's still pretty good to be a Yankees fan.
Absolutely. I mean, hey, the Tigers have 15 games to go still, and are at a 91 win-loss season. So we are clearly going to hit the 100 mark. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about it. So, but we did hire a new president of operations who helped rebuild the Cubs. So who knows? Maybe the Tigers will turn things around here in a little bit.
Oh, I love delusional Michigan fans.
Just like it's not going to snow anytime soon, right? Oh, man.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Well, the way the climate change is going, you may not.
Well, I mean, so tomorrow, it's funny. Tomorrow's 92, and then Thursday is in the low 60s. So a 30-degree swing in a 24-hour period. So we'll, but that's Michigan for you. That's Michigan weather. So then we'll have a couple Indian summers that'll be 95 in October, and then we'll settle into our normal fall. So we'll see what happens. And then you'll hear me bitching about Harbaugh and snowblowers in about 8 weeks. So
yeah, well, you live in Michigan. That's your choice.
That's true.
I think didn't you have a choice to move someplace?
It's come up. We've talked about it, but just it's like working in the restaurant industry. Once you're there, you're almost a lifer, and it's hard to get out. Like, I left the restaurant industry 3 times because it just sucks you back in, and I feel the same way about Michigan. Like, it's impossible to escape it sometimes. But I digress. All right, we've got 7 more race weekends to go, sir. We are going to Texas this weekend. How are we looking?
Well, as you wanted me to say, so I'll say it hot.
Yes, I love it. I mean, what else can you say about going to Texas in September? Like,
well, I've seen it not so, hot.
Oh, that's great. Well, hey, that's just what it is. I mean, it's going to be hot. So
we're talking we're talking not only is it going to be hot, but we're talking about near 100 and maybe 20-mile-an-hour wind gusts on Saturday.
Oh, that's awesome for the Xfinity race. That'll be great.
Yeah, but as long as there's no freaking fires.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's nuts.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to go on a red flag because there's a grass fire in the infield.
Well, that or someone, doesn't put out their barbecue from tailgating before the race or something
it's blown
like
over.
That. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, that happened at a football game, I think, this past weekend somewhere too, to be honest. So,
maybe they'll pull a Richmond and turn the sprinklers on or something.
Well, see, I mean, that would make some sense, but man. All right, so it's going to be hot, and that sums it up pretty well there. So you'll have a easy weekend on social media. Hopefully.
Somebody will complain about how hot it is.
Well, yeah. Well, there's that. But
that's gonna be you, that's gonna be you tomorrow. So.
Yes. Well, all right, cool. Anything else? Quick one this week.
I am going to be going up to another Purdue game. We should beat Florida Atlantic, and I'm actually marching. My son, sadly. Well, he'll be dressed for the game. My wife and I are going to be doing alumni band at homecoming for Purdue, so we're looking forward to that.
That's awesome. Do you get to play?
Yes. So we'll use the term "play" loosely, but yes.
What did you play, or what will you be playing?
My trumpet. So I was a trumpet. I was a trumpet player. So yeah.
I played the trumpet for a few years. I never marched, but middle school through a couple years of high school, I played the trumpet. So. Good deal. Look at that. I knew we liked each other for some reason.
Who said I liked you?
Well, I mean, you show up every other week, so I mean that's or every.
I do this for Raceweather, aka Aaron Stedwell. You can follow him on Twitter at Raceweather.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, that's very cool. That's do you get any on-field pass or anything like that for the
No, well, we get to sit. We will sit on the field.
Okay.
So
that's really cool. How many band members did you have when you were there, and how many are showing? Of my class. I mean, I didn't count. I'm sorry, they didn't say this is how many numbers. So I don't know. I'm just going to be ballpark it.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to. I don't know because it's so many different generations. I don't like this game. I've never been good at those guessing games. Now I've got anxiety.
No, it's totally fine. But no, that's really cool. That's an awesome experience. Hopefully, you can bring the boys home a win and.
Well, they'll win this game. They'll win this game. I'm not worried about probably like Indiana State. So I'm not worried about that.
5-0.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, listen, I hope you have a blast. Lab Traffic Nation, follow Brian on Twitter at NASCAR_WXMAN, along with Aaron Studwell at Race Weather. Sir, we'll catch you in a couple weeks.
All right, sounds good.
All right, man. We'll see ya.
All right.
Bye. All right, Lab Traffic Nation. Great to catch up with Brian Neudorff there. All right. Let's keep things rolling. Let's get to this week's Lucky Dog Lapdown picks. So here's the thing. I was all geeked and ready for this week's picks. And as I mentioned at the start of the show, 7-month-olds don't allow for the ability to stay up late. And so I fell asleep and didn't send it out. But I love the fact that I didn't even send out the Lucky Dog tweet, but you guys sent some in. I mean, I feel the love with that. So I appreciate the diehards out there. Love you guys. My lucky dog, the playoff advancers. My lap downs, I think that's obvious. Harvick and Kyle Busch. Let's see what you guys had to say. Scott at 1985 Wagner. Lucky dog, Chris Buescher. Absolutely. Win number 1 for RFK Racing. I wonder what the prop bet was on that one. Who would get the win? Chris Buescher, Brad Keselowski, and it goes to Chris Buescher. That's awesome. Lap down is a tie. Power steering systems, tire camber engineers at Ford. Lap down also Kyle Busch engines. I love it. Colin at Colin_with_cars, Lucky Dog to Chris Busher and RFK. So great for that team. Lap down to all the mechanical gremlins that popped up during the race. Took out half the field, it seemed. Yeah, you would have thought we were at Daytona or Talladega for sure. Dave at Real David Kahn. Lucky Dog, RFK Racing. Both cars ran great. Christopher picked it up right after Keselowski's tire problems. Great run for them both. Lap down. Oh, current, future, and former RCR drivers. That was a tough one. I love that. That's great. And Tristan at Tristan Cole, Lucky Dog, Chris Busher, and tonight's win. Blaney for making the next round along with Cindric, right? Like, that's crazy. Lap down, Goodyear tires, too many deflated. Kyle Busch's engine blowing up like that, and crappy cheap parts. Go get yourself a Kevin Harvick t-shirt. Here's the thing. Like, I texted a couple people by the name of Andrew Sherwin and Andrew Cancian. 2 weeks ago, I was going to put out a Lapped Traffic crappy ass parts t-shirt. Like, I was already working on that, and I didn't. And I didn't because I didn't know if there'd be any legal issues. I also, like, hey, I'm here to have a good time. I'm not here to piss NASCAR off. I enjoy the fact that they reach out to me every once in a while, like, why burn that bridge for, a couple t-shirt sales, so I didn't do it, but it did cross my mind, like, and I had a cool one designed up, ready to go. So I just am throwing that out there that Lap Traffic would have beaten Kevin Harvick to the punch with a crappy ass t-shirt, but we did not. We withheld from doing that. So there's that for you. All right, well, let's keep things going. Let's wrap this thing up with a little Lap Traffic fantasy. Just a reminder, we are down to the final 12. We have made the cuts just like we did in the Cup Series. So to those survivors, get your picks in by 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. Keep the Twitter interaction up using hashtag LTFantasy. There's trophies at stake. There's prizes at stake. There's a lot fighting here, and we are down to 12 with 7 races to determine it all. I'm not even going to lie. I forgot to reach out to the week high person this week. Things have been a little crazy work-wise, so I apologize about that. But here are our top 10, and that is Kristen Haglund. Well, here, let's do this. Here's how round 1 finished. Justin Hughes with 374. Michael Blindspot Pod 363. David James 358. Henry Fletcher 348. Kim James 341. Brett Morris 338. Josh Rolfe 333. Steven, DFS NASCAR guy, who had week high also with 333. Kristen Haglund 329. Brandon, yours truly, the professor, has made it to the round of 12. My first time ever advancing. I love it, with 320. Robert Riggs, 316. And Kevin Hahn with 304. Do you guys hear how close those are? Like, we're not talking a very big gap there, which is great. Now, here's the thing. John Entwistle also had 304, had to default to the tiebreaker, which is number of correct wins in segment 2. Kevin got the nudge on John with one more correct win, which is crazy. So who missed it was John Entwistle, Michael Mason, my uncle, and Aaron Studwell, who was like sitting third cumulative a few weeks ago. Missed it. He's the Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick of the Lap Traffic Fantasy League. All right, so now those are your points. Now here's the reset because of the bonus points and how everything worked out. So Kristen, who finished, where'd Kristen finish? She finished 9th in segment 1, but it's back up top with the reseed in first with 32. Henry Fletcher and David James 22. Justin with 20. Kim James 16. Brett Morris and Josh Rolfe 14th. I have 12. Robert Riggs, Michael Blindspot Pod, and Steven have 11, and Kevin Hahn has 9. So who is going to make it to the round of 8? We shall see. Let's set the scene. Let's get to the picks. All right, we are headed to the great state of Texas, and a track that I think everybody wishes was off the schedule. Last year, HMS finished with a 1-2 punch with Larson and Byron. The big manufacturers have been quiet to start the playoffs. HMS, JGR, swings and misses for the first 3 races. Could this cookie-cutter mile-and-a-half race in Texas be just what they need to get a playoff driver with a win and a lock to the round of 8? Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch both have multiple wins at Texas. Both are out of the playoffs. Do they keep the streak going with a non-playoff driver winning for a little redemption? Whose motor can last an entire race? Who kicks off Lap Traffic Fantasy round of 12 with some momentum? We'll find out this weekend. But first, it's time for my picks. No truck race, so it's right to the Xfinity race. And I've already used Justin Allgaier twice. So I'm kind of screwed there because that's all reliable. You want some consistent points. You want to almost guarantee yourself some safety. You go with Justin Allgaier, but I've already used him twice. So I'm going to go with Ty Gibbs, because Ty Gibbs had a bad race at Bristol, and it's not often he has back-to-back bad races, but he will now because I jinxed him. But anyways, there's my pick, Ty Gibbs. Okay, now for the Cup race. Oh, I'm torn. I was so confused what to do, but I'm going HMS. I'm going Kyle Larson so that I can hopefully salvage some safety points and make my way to the final 8. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, that is going to do it for episode 292 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. Make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, Facebook, The Lap Traffic Podcast, YouTube, Lap Traffic, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, all at Lap Traffic PC. Huge thanks to Heather Hadley, to Brian Neudorff, and to Jeff Striegle for making a guest appearance on the show tonight. I appreciate it. I will be back next week. So you got me for 3 weeks in a row before I'll take an off week, because I love you guys that much. Keep the shout outs, all the follows, all the listens. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya.